When you think of orphaned aliens risen from tragedy with godly power, two come to mind. Kal-El from Krypton and Jiren from Universe 11.
Jiren and Superman, that pair isn't exactly what comes to mind. Well, Superman, yeah, sure, but I'm sure we can all think of another superpowered godlike alien better suited for Superman. Martian Manhunter. Get up here, you big green bastard! However, since two same continuity fights are a no-no, I guess Jiren will make a great second fiddle.
Let's just say that Jiren vs. Superman is twice the debate for half the toxicity. It's a deal we can't put down, but one that we could rewind rumble.
So rewind. A rhetorical question for you. Just a smidgen of your thoughts. Whose childhood was more tragic? Superman's or Jiren's?
While both aliens lost their parents and Superman practically lost his entire race, Kal-El was innocently ignorant of all of it growing up on Earth, and he didn't find out until later in his life. Jiren first-handedly discovered that his village was attacked and that his parents were murdered in cold blood. He learned the hard way that having and displaying power upon others is the only true way to protect both himself and those he cares about. So for that, I would have to say that Jiren took it harder and had it more rough growing up.
Blah, blah, blah. Boring, boring, boring! You really don't understand what a rhetorical question is, do you?
I may not understand your wordplay, Warlord, no, but what I do understand is the overwhelming power that both of these aliens possessed.
Yo, Rewind, I'm happy for you and I'm gonna let you finish. But do not break the #1 rule about Superman. If you want to talk about his powers, do it right and pick from one timeline, one continuity. Pre-Crisis, Post-Crisis, New 52, Animated Series, DC Cinematic Universe. Anything but mashing them together into one Frankenstein of a character. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
Well, you know my answer, and that's the one that's always most fair. On the entire Superman spectrum, there are plenty of Superman that would destroy Jiren, and then there are Superman on the same list that would die instantly from Jiren. So for that sake, the best bet would be to keep things vanilla with round 1 and stick with the modern age continuity of comics.
So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let me tell you about the best things modern age Superman can do. This version of Superman is massively faster than light, and I am talking in the trillions of times, as he flew from the Vega star system to Earth faster than Geico can quote me for car insurance. Spoiler alert, I'm too unpredictable to even get a quote. He has universal levels of striking strength as he was able to crack the source wall and pin Darkseid into it.
Which may or may not even be the real source wall.
The toughest thing for Superman's power level is the fact that he is a solar battery.
We'll get to that later, but first, let's freshen up everyone on why Jiren is an extremely OP Martian thing. As for Jiren's powers, his most notorious is his energy barrier. This makes it pretty much impossible for anyone to land even one hit on Jiren. Any attack that is weaker than the barrier will be absorbed. So if you aren't faster, more skilled, or more powerful than Jiren, there is no chance of getting lucky against him, since his barrier will automatically block anything weaker than it.
Jiren also has an arsenal of invisible moves like the Invisible Strikes and Invisible Eye Blast. Those are pretty self-explanatory. Jiren can move so fast that he can travel in an instant. This is one of the reasons he so easily got past Hit's time manipulation, and how it takes an Ultra Instinct Goku to even stand a chance against him.
As for his stats, it's quite safe to say that Jiren is a multi-universal powerhouse, as he can wipe the floor with Goku Blue and shook the entire world of Void, a realm which is described as being infinite in size, and he shook the whole thing with his ki alone.
In fact, as seen in episode 130, Jiren was able to outlast Goku's broken limit, and Goku's limit is breaking the limit of a limit breaker that breaks the limits of the gods! NANI?! But to further explain this, Goku's Ultra Instinct does long-term damage on him due to him being a mortal pushing his body into God hierarchy and beyond, and it's not something he should use whenever he feels like it. Jiren was able to outlast Goku long enough for him to be drained of using Ultra Instinct for that battle sequence. It's unclear whether Goku is just temporarily drained of it, or if Jiren technically beat Goku. Episode 131...
later today,
should answer that question, but the fact that he was able to outlast Goku long enough for Goku to revert back to his form speaks for itself.
But what doesn't speak for itself is Superman's analogy to being a solar battery, which is something that needs explaining. And that's just what I'm here to do. Superman as we know it is a solar battery of sorts. He can store yellow and blue star rays and convert them as his main power source. While there hasn't been a real limit to how much he can store, it will always be a finite amount. The potential to always recharge may be limitless, but the actual value absorbed will always be a limited measurable amount, regardless of how big or small that amount is.
You know what? I will say this to those DC fans who quote Superman's Dr. Frankenstein. Superman's solar battery does have a limit, so even if we let this guy sit in the sun for a while, he'd eventually reach a peak, long as he doesn't get any unnecessary plot boosts. The real question from that explanation is, if we have a modern age Superman fight Jiren at his best, well, what is his best? The answer lies in the issue, the death of the new gods.
The full comic could be read online, and I'll even link it down below. And in this issue, Superman faced and lost to Darkseid with the anti-life equation. What's important to know is that both Orion and the Source were at the events of this battle. Because Superman lost to Darkseid and Orion had to come in and sacrifice himself, proves that Superman's peak was less than Darkseid's peak. Superman even stated that all of his vaunted power is nothing in relationship to what he has encountered. He stated that Darkseid had unlimited power, though Darkseid kind of implied that he had universal power. Darkseid's actual peak isn't 100% clear, but Superman's was, as that it was less than Darkseid's, and Darkseid's was universal from his own explanation but was unlimited from Superman's explanation, which by following the rules of logic means either one of them is right and one of them is wrong, or they're both wrong. We'll talk about this conundrum later, but what's important to know now is that both of these aliens are ultimate powerhouses that come from tragic roots. Superman tackled his tragedy by helping others and risking his own life for justice. Jiren tackled his tragedy by instilling force and power to secure protection through intimidation and using power as a coping method. There are many similarities between Jiren and Superman, and there are also many differences. The biggest difference today, though, is that one of them is going to walk away alive and the other will be at rest. And now, let's set ourselves a circumstance. The location of this battle will take place in Universe 7, and there will be no preparation. This is a universe that is technically alien to both characters, which keeps things fair, and of course, no preparation is the most basic way to handle this thing. Once that circumstance bar is finally loaded, it's time to rewind rumble.
Ends now.
I'll take this.
Cooperation's not optional.
You seriously intend to beat me?
I'll crush you like the others.
Bastard. This fight's over.
We hope you enjoyed that animation, and if you did, special thanks to Team Animation Rewind's Driggs. I'd also like to thank the co-host for this episode, Warlord. Please consider watching the previous animations on this channel to support us even further. Don't forget to download the Animation Rewind apps. Thanks, and enjoy the post-analysis.
Nah, 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 nah. Hey, 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 goodbye. Because I'm just going to say this because there are people who are going to believe this no matter what.
Jiren won because he's a Dragon Ball character and we are just salty over Goku vs. Superman 1 and 2 from the Superman Dr. Frankenstein.
Whoa there, Warlord, that is 100% false. And besides, do you even know how many people are going to believe your provocative statement? There are already a bunch of tinfoils out there who think we have some type of anti-Superman agenda. Why, just why are you fueling their false ideas?
Oh, I'm fueling it to laugh at the stupidity of what some people are willing to believe. It's their loss if they want to be delusional and think we had Superman lose purely out of spite and bias. Who do they think we are?
TGF.
Now get your hands out of your pants and let me explain to the people who actually understand our true intentions of why Jiren beats modern age Superman.
Now that's more my language. Look, let me be honest with you guys. There are plenty of Superman that can beat Jiren, and I could have cherry-picked the ones that easily could or easily couldn't, but instead I tried to do what's right and just go straight down the middle and feature the basic run-of-the-mill modern-era Superman, which is pretty standard for versus debates. In fact, it probably would have been much easier for us to pick the most powerful Superman that would have wiped the floor with Jiren. Plus, doing that would have been a perfect antidote to clear those who think we have some type of bias towards Dragon Ball. And I am certainly not afraid of the salt or having DC characters beat Dragon Ball characters. Spoiler alert, just go check out Cartoon Fight Club Cell vs. Doomsday, Broly vs. Superman, Pre-Crisis Superman vs. Goku, Batman vs. Teen Goku, Beerus vs. Darkseid Round 1, and Piccolo vs. Martian Manhunter. Anyway, I digress. Let's get back on topic. We're here to explain why modern era Superman doesn't have what it takes to take out Jiren. It's still kinda unclear that Ultra Instinct Goku alone could beat Jiren.
And you know what? That is a perfect place to start. Jiren's ability to revert Ultra Instinct Goku back to his base form. Once again, Jiren was able to outlast Goku long enough to make him be drained of using Ultra Instinct for that battle sequence. It's unclear if Goku is just temporarily drained of it or if Jiren fully beat Goku. Episode 131.
Once again, later today.
Should answer that question, but the fact that he was even able to last out long enough to have Goku revert back to his base form speaks for itself.
As for speed, it's clear that Jiren's best speed feats are fourth dimensional as he was fast enough to override Hit's Cage of Time. The Cage of Time is a full-on time freeze, and it's Hit's most powerful tactic and his last resort attack. This isn't Goku breaking through a baby time skip or time leap. Jiren full-on broke the Cage of Time. To be able to move this fast, Superman's Vega Star speed feat is a literal whole dimension slower than Jiren's Cage of Time breaking speed feat.
There is no evidence to suggest that Superman is fast enough to punch past Jiren's barrier. Any attack that is weaker than the barrier will be absorbed. So if you aren't faster, more skilled, or more powerful than Jiren, then rip off your tidy whities and hang them in the air to signal your surrender, because there is no chance of getting lucky against him, since his barrier will automatically block anything weaker or slower than it.
It took a 4th dimensional Ultra Instinct Goku to get past the barrier, so a massively faster than light Superman would greatly struggle. The same could be said for strength and power. Superman has displayed universal levels of strength, cracking the source wall and lifting Spectre, and I'm tired of debunking infinite Superman strength, but lifting Spectre is at best a universal feat, and to explain why it's not an unlimited strength feat, just go watch Cartoon Fight Club episode 30 for a full explanation on that. It's pretty much old news at this point that Superman isn't infinite.
Jiren was able to both shake the world of Void and overpower a Super Saiyan Blue Goku, not even counting Ultra Instinct Goku, which he beat is already multi-universal. And again, it's tough to say Superman's peak is multi-universal in the modern age comics, as he lost a battle against Darkseid, and it took Orion to come in and save Superman's super ass. Look at those glutes!
I'm going to reiterate myself from the pre-analysis just to drill the point home. And this full comic can be read online, which will be linked down below. Now in this issue, Superman faced and lost to Darkseid with the anti-life equation. What's important to know is that both Orion and the Source were at the events of this battle. Because Superman lost to Darkseid and Orion had to come in and sacrifice himself, proves that Superman is less than Darkseid at their peaks. Superman usually only beats Darkseid with the help of other Justice League members or by pinning him through the source wall. It's never been through straight on punching him to death or through his own power. It's either borrowed power, Justice League member fill-ins, or the source wall pinning. And keep in mind I'm talking full power Darkseid, not base Darkseid or one of his avatars. Anyway, back to this comic issue. In this issue, Superman stated all of his vaunted power is nothing in relationship to what he encountered. He even stated that Darkseid had unlimited power, though Darkseid sort of implied that he only had universal power. Darkseid's peak isn't 100% clear, but Superman being less than Darkseid was pretty clear. Again, Darkseid was universal from his own explanation and was unlimited from Superman's explanation. It's really tough to work with statements, and comics unfortunately have a lot more statements than they do feats. But it is what it is. Now here were the 3 statements that were stated in this issue. Only 2 of them can be true for the writing to make sense. A. Darkseid has peak unlimited power via Superman's statement. B. Darkseid has at minimum universal power and peak unknown power via Darkseid's statement. C. All of Superman's power was nothing compared to Darkseid via Superman's second statement. All 3 of these statements can't be true because Superman is less than Darkseid. If A is true, then B could be true. Darkseid is clearly universal if he is infinite. But if B is true, then C has to be false, because if Darkseid's power is universal, then statement C would not make sense, as Superman would be able to compete with that. If A is true and B is false, then of course Superman would be nothing compared to Darkseid. But then Superman could not have infinite power if this was the case. If B is true and A is false, then Superman was overestimating the whole time and was only speaking in hyperbole.
Okay. Rewind enough logic games and just spit it to them straight. Superman in the modern age range of comics has never shown consistent multi-universal feats, or 4th dimensional feats for that matter, and Jiren has both shown consistent multi-universal and 4th dimensional feats. Therefore, Jiren is powerful enough to break Superman's limit and beat him, similar to how Darkseid in Doomsday beat him without kryptonite and physical power alone. Boom, good night, sleep tight.
What Warlord said pretty much sums things up. Sorry for the confusing logic games, everyone. And thus making the winner of this Rumble, Jiren. Now, if you want to see a rematch between Jiren and pre-Crisis Superman, all you have to do is like this video. If this video gets 6,000 likes, such a rematch will be put into production. Don't forget to comment down your own ideas, don't forget to download the free Animation Rewind apps, and stay tuned as the next fighters are going to be revealed. On the next episode of Rewind Rumble. Now before I announce who's fighting next, I just wanted to say that we started the production of this next episode since December of last year, and on top of it, this next Rewind Rumble is a rematch of a fight I did back in 2015. The fact that it's happening next is of pure 100% coincidence, and anyone who complains otherwise, well, I'd like to let you know that your tears taste wonderful. On the next episode of Rewind Rumble.
The Dr. Cortex, the vortex is not ready. We have no idea what it could do.
That does it!
Looks like I've got some things to do.
See, now that explanation made sense. Regardless, I hope you enjoy it.